Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am really excited for this video because I am here to answer one of the most common questions that I get. I get this question all of the time. Which one is better for me, PowerSheets or Makse Life? I love both of these products. I love both of these companies. I love both of these systems for different reasons. I think that both products are absolutely beautiful. And for 2021, my PowerSheets flip through is already up. My Makse Life flip through will be up very, very soon. But you can see the 2020 flip through of the Makse Life, which is very similar in terms of the actual system. Most of the Makse Life changes for 2021 are aesthetic. You can also see the new 2021 Makse Life planners over on their YouTube channel. Like I said, my video will be up later this week. But today I'm going to help you figure out which system works better for you. I get questions all the time like, I am this kind of person, which one should I use? Or I'm a newbie, which one should I use? And I'm here to tell you that it's not a one size fits all for either one. Like, I don't think that all brand new goal setters should pick one of the systems. And I don't think that all students should pick one of the systems. I think that it really depends on a lot of things that are specific to you. So today I am going to give you 5 questions to ask yourself to help you figure out which system works better for you. So quick background, if you don't know, the PowerSheets are an intentional goal planner. The focus of the PowerSheets is not to be your go-to day-to-day planner. It is to specifically help you figure out what's important to you, what matters in your life, and then it helps you set and break down goals related to those specific things. It is meant to be a goal-setting planner first and foremost. The Makse Life system is a combination of a beautiful weekly planner with a goal setting system. And the goal setting systems themselves are very different. And we will get to that on one of the questions, but I just wanted to give you that little bit of background in case you've never heard of either of them before, or you haven't been able to watch any of the 2021 flip throughs yet. So the first question to ask yourself is, what kind of planner do I use regularly? If you use a weekly planner regularly, and that is your go-to planner, and your weekly planner is a vertical or a horizontal layout, and you could see yourself using the Makse Life vertical or the Makse Life horizontal as your go-to weekly layout, that's probably a point to Makse Life for you. If there is another planner that you love that is your go-to planner, whether that's a different weekly layout, an hourly layout, a digital layout, whatever it is, if there's another type of planner that you use regularly, then the PowerSheets might be better for you because the PowerSheets only has a monthly calendar. It doesn't have any sort of additional planner pages. Now, for 2021, Makse Life is releasing a set of companion notebooks where they are putting just their goal setting system into a set of beautifully crafted notebooks that if the goal setting system of the Makse Life really intrigues you, you could do that Makse Life goal setting system with another planner that you absolutely love. My struggle with that system is I need a coil. I am a coil girl through and through. I went to Staples and cut up a bunch of planners because I needed a coil that badly. So I could personally never see myself using those Makse Life companion notebooks because I need a coil, and that's just my planner system. So I think that if you do have a planner that you love that's not a vertical or a horizontal weekly, but you don't desperately need a coil like I do, you could also do the Makse Life companion notebooks. But that's the first question that I would ask myself. The second question, which is what a lot of people talk about when they are trying to decide between the two systems, is how deep do you want to go during the prep work? How deep do you want to dig down into yourself? How much reflection do you want to do? How many tough questions do you want to answer? How much of that really, really deep introspective work do you want to do to set your goals for the year? Because if the answer is, I want to do all the deep work and I need those like tough questions to really help me figure out what matters and what's important to me, then PowerSheets is the way to go. And that's how I feel. I need that deep work. I need those questions to really help me figure out the why behind my goals and what's important to me. If you're like, I'm not ready for that, Laken, I don't want to go deep. I have a member of my community who was like, I'm not ready for that. I can't imagine going that deep yet. Then the PowerSheets are probably not for you. The Makse Life prep work is probably much more at your speed. It has very set, not easy questions, but just they're not as open-ended and like as in-depth. They're separated by categories. It's a lot more giving a ranking on a 1 to 10 scale rather than answering where do I want to be in 8 years. Number 3, which is related to this but different, is do you need help figuring out what your goals should be? And there's a lot of ways that this could go to either system. So I'm just gonna share my thoughts with you, because even if the answer is yes, it could lead you either way. So hear me out. Makse Life has 8 goal categories that are already set. 8 areas of life is what Sierra calls them, that you are encouraged to set goals within those 8 categories. And that could either be really great or it could be really frustrating. If you feel like you struggle to come up with goals and that structure of having those categories already set will help you, the Makse Life system could be perfect for you. The Power Sheets, on the other hand, has 8 empty categories, 8 blank spaces for you to figure out what goals you want to do. And so it has a lot more open-endedness, and you have to really figure out what your goals are going to be on your own. Now, I will say that the prep work helps you with that. Like, if you do the prep work properly, it really will help you figure out what those 8 goals could be without giving you preset categories. So they can both work even if the answer is yes, but it really comes down to, do you want these 8 categories to kind of help you shape your goals, or do you want these 8 open-ended spaces for you to figure it out yourself? I did ask the creator of Makse Life, Sierra, what her thoughts are on changing the categories in the Makse Life system. So if you were like, well, I only want to use 6 of those categories and then I want to change the other 2 to something else that's specific for me. And she said 2 things. She first said, you know what? The most important thing is that they use the system. And so if changing the categories makes you use the system, then change the categories, because that is better than not using it. I've said this before, right? The best tool is the one that you'll use. So if changing the categories helps you use it, go for it. However, at the end of the day, it's important to focus on all these categories. It is important to think about where you stand in all of these areas of life, because the more well-balanced you are, the more you're going to be able to succeed in any of those given areas. And even if sometimes it's just maintenance in one of those areas of life, while you're really focusing on progress in a different area, that's okay too, but you're not letting that other one fall, because you're still focusing on it every single week and every single month. So at the end of the day, she recommends that you stick with all 8 categories, but if you have to change them, you can change them. That said, the Power Sheets does have a section where you give yourself a grade or a score on 1 to 10 on these different areas of life that are very similar to the Power Sheets. They just don't have you necessarily categorize your goals based on that. They just have you rate them and check in with them, but then you can still set your goals on 8 different categories. So that's kind of the difference between the 2 in terms of there being categories or there not being categories. So if you really feel like you want that structure of those 8 categories and you can fit your goals into those, Makse Life system is fantastic for that. If you feel like your goals are going to be kind of unique and different and not really those 8 areas of life, then the Power Sheets might be better for you. Number 4 is, do you want to refresh your goals on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis? Because the different systems have you check in and change your actions on a different cadence. So the Power Sheets, you don't update anything except on a monthly basis. So you still will likely check in with them every week, but you're not changing any of your goals or any of your action steps until you get to a monthly basis. And then there's also the quarterly check-in where you can completely refresh your goals, but you're not even changing your actions except on a monthly basis. The Makse Life has you check in every single week and update your action items based on the week. Now, you still set monthly and annual goals, but you have the opportunity to change the actions that you're doing for your goals every single week. So your daily habits and your weekly habits, you can change those on a weekly basis. And I do think there's pros and cons to both of those. There's sometimes when I wish I was in a system that would let me change things weekly, but then I also know that I would give up on some of my daily and monthly goals if I had the opportunity to change them every week. So I kind of like that my Power Sheets lock me into a monthly system and I can't change them. But the flexibility can also be really nice too, because if something isn't working for you, you just need to let go. When I did ask Sierra her overall thoughts on the 2 systems, because I know she gets this question a lot too, she told me that the way she kind of views them is Power Sheets are reflection and then action. Makse Life is action and then reflection. And there is power in both of those formats. You just have to figure out which one works better for you. One common question I got that kind of falls into this category is how much time does each of them take to set up on a weekly, a monthly, and an annual basis? And the overarching sentiment is that the power sheets are going to be way more work up front and way less maintenance. The Makse Life is going to be way less work up front and more maintenance. Again, reflection then action versus action and then reflection. So the power sheets, it's going to take you a lot of time to get through the prep work. The prep work takes a lot of time. I probably cumulatively will spend 20 hours working on the power sheets prep work to get prepared for the new year. And that's a lot. That's a lot of time, but it's valuable to me. And I like going through that work. The Makse Life prep work takes maybe 2 hours. I asked a couple of people who consistently used the Makse Life goal setting system last year, and I got anywhere from like 1 to 3 or 4 hours they spent on that initial annual prep work. On a monthly basis, they're probably about the same. So the power sheets prep work can take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes on a monthly basis. They do release a podcast that helps you work through that. And like anything, it gets easier with time. It probably takes me about 30 minutes to do my power sheets prep work each month. When I was first starting out, it probably took me a little bit longer. The Makse Life takes about the same, maybe slightly less. Again, the people that I talked to who used it consistently said anywhere from 20 to an hour each month working on the monthly section. And then on a weekly basis, the power sheets have nothing, right? You're not changing anything. You're not reflecting on anything on a weekly basis. The Makse Life system is probably 10 to 20 minutes on a weekly basis, setting up your weekly actions and doing the weekly reflections. Overall, probably about the same amount of time. It's whether you want or can spend that time every single week in the Makse Life system or pretty much all in December in the power sheet system. Number 5, the last question is aesthetically, which one do you like better? Because at the end of the day, the tool that you like is the tool that you'll use, and the best one for you is the one that you'll use. And so if one of them really gives you a better feel aesthetically, go with that one and just try it out for a year. And then if it doesn't work, you can always switch next year. But I think that if one of them really vibes with you more aesthetically, then go with that one. So the power sheets is a lot more bright and flowers and almost feminine to it. This year they did kind of streamline the decor on the inside a little bit to make it a little bit more geometric, if you will, but it's still a lot of like bright, vibrant colors. The Makse Life does have color in it, and this year they made the color a lot more vibrant, but it's still more of a, I don't know, calming colors almost. They're just not as bright and in your face. They're just a lot more, not even muted this year because they do have more vibrancy to them, but it's just a totally different color scheme than the power sheets. You can probably tell just by looking at that. From a construction standpoint, they both have a wire binding, which I know a lot of people hate, and they both have a hard cover. From a size standpoint, the power sheets are a little bit taller, but they are much thinner. The Makse Life is a shorter planner, but it is much thicker because you've got 2 pages for every single week. So what do they both have? There's a couple things that they both have in common, which is why I think personally choosing either system is a great option to set your goals for the new year. They both have an incredible community that I like being a part of both communities, and you can join either or both communities without actually having the products in your hand. You can join both Facebook groups. So the power sheets has a Facebook group, and there's a lot of great questions and ideas in that group. They also are starting something new this year called Goal School, which is also going to be kind of a platform that has some additional videos and printables and things like that you can only join if you buy the power sheets. Makse Life also has an incredible Facebook community where they do challenges and different things that encourage you to continue to focus on your goals. And again, you can join either Facebook group without actually owning the product. They also both have a proven system of goal setting that works. They have proof behind the pudding that it is going to work if you follow the system. Now, the systems are different, the setup is different, and I do think that different ones work for different people with different minds and goal setting processes. But at the end of the day, the systems work. So whichever one you pick, if you follow the system, you're gonna achieve your goals. They also both come with a beautiful page of stickers in the back and have the option to purchase additional stickers. I just thought that was important to throw in there. A few other questions that I got. I asked on Instagram if you had any questions about the 2 systems and figuring out which one works better for you. So the first one I got is, do either of them offer any digital or printable? The answer is no. Now, Makse Life does on their website have the initial assessment tool and samples of the layouts on their website that you can print out, but it's not the whole system that you can order and print or digitally use, and the power sheets doesn't have that. Another question I get is which one is better for newbies? And like I said at the beginning, I think that either system can be really great for newbies. I think that the deep dive of the power sheets can be really great. If you've never truly set goals before, really answering some of these deep questions, I think can really help you figure out what's important to you. At the same time, it's a lot. And I think that the simplicity of the Makse Life system and the jumping right into focusing on action can be also really helpful for someone who's new at goal setting, because that momentum will help you keep going. So it's so hard to answer that question to figure out which one works better for you. I also got how much is each system. They're pretty close in price. The Power Sheets full year set is $60. The Makse Life is $68, but again, you get an entire planner attached to the Makse Life, so it's a little bit more, but they're very close in price. I also got asked which system I will be using, and if you couldn't tell from this video, I cannot quit the Power Sheets. They just work so well for me and my mindset and just the way that things work in my brain. They are perfect for my goal setting progress. I like the reflection at the beginning because I'm such an action taker that if I start with action, I probably will never go back into the reflection. So I like doing the reflection at the beginning, and I also like being committed to a daily habit for an entire month before I can change my mind and give up on it. So for those reasons, really the Power Sheets are the best system for me. However, I also plan to use the Makse Life, and I got this question a lot too. Can I use both? Well, you can. You can use both. I think if you try to use both in a forward-looking way, it's gonna be really tough, and you might struggle a little bit, just get with overwhelm. There's just a lot going on, and there's gonna be a lot of repetitiveness, and you're gonna be it's gonna be a lot. And so if you think that you could stick through and continue that, go for it. I tried that this year in 2020. I tried to use both in that format, and I did not stick with it. Now, I think there's a couple reasons why I didn't stick with it. I mean, one of them being that it's 2020 and like anything I tried to stick with this year didn't work. I mean, I did stick with my Power Sheets the entire year, but I think that just the nature of 2020 made it hard for me to stick with both. I also have this thing on my desk where I have both of them sitting there, and I have the Makse Life turned to my weekly layout because I did use the Makse Life as a weekly planner. It's the best vertical layout out there, and so I use it as a weekly planner. I just didn't use the goal sections because that's just not what I looked at, and it would require me to take it out of my thing and flip to the goal pages and actually fill those out, and I just didn't do that on a regular basis. And so that was another reason I think that using both systems didn't work for me. I will tell you, this year I have a plan to use both of them, and I'm really excited about this. I think that it's going to work well for a couple of reasons, and I'm hoping that I can commit to it. So this idea stemmed from a couple things. So the first one is I didn't feel like I needed a weekly planner layout anymore. I know that's crazy to say out loud because I've been a weekly planner for 6 or 7 years, but my daily planner is so helpful that it's fantastic. And it felt very repetitive to take basically what was on my Google Cal. So I would sit down at my computer, I would mess with my Google Cal to plan my week. That's how I planned it. And then I would transfer it to my weekly planner. And I do think there were benefits to that, but I wasn't going back to look at it. I wasn't going back to reference it. It was a sticker book, basically, like, if I'm being honest. And so I was questioning, I don't need a weekly planner for forward planning. And I actually got quite a few recommendations from you that said, well, what if you do it as back planning or memory planning? What if you, instead of setting it all up in advance with what you're going to do, what if you went back and filled it in with what you actually did and like reflected on that? Like I said, I'm not very good at reflecting, and I know that there's value in it. And when I saw the new 2021 Makse Life, I was like, man, I really want to use this. It's beautiful. The vertical is fantastic. She took out the shading. Like, I really want to use this planner, but I don't need it for like future planning. And so I started to watch some videos and like look into memory planning, and I was like, you know what? That could be really nice. And that could be, I could print pictures, and it would be almost like scrapbooking, but still planning and still using all of the stickers that I already own. So I was kind of already leaning to use my weekly layout in that way. And then I was talking to Sierra, and we were talking about the whole, like, could you use both systems? Because I do love the Makse Life Planner, and I would love to use both systems. And she was like, well, I have an idea for you. What if instead of, again, doing forward actions for all 8 of those areas of life, what if instead you reflected back and wrote down what you actually did in those 8 areas of life after the fact? And use it as a way to look back on those 8 categories and see if you have any blind spots. Is there anything that you're not focusing in on? And just do it that way instead of actions going forward. And I was like, that's a great idea, because even though the Power Sheets does have a place to check in with those 8 categories, it's only on a quarterly basis. And I think the value in the Makse Life of checking in with it on a weekly and a monthly basis and acknowledging what I'm either doing or not doing in those 8 categories. And for me, this isn't even necessarily like goal things. Like this is and will be like just normal everyday actions that I'm doing in these 8 categories that's just helping me live a better life and be a better person, right? So I am so excited to give this system a go, and I will definitely bring you along and share my journey with you and let you know how things are going. If you have anybody that you recommend, especially ones that have YouTube videos, I love watching YouTube videos, who focus on memory planning. I watch a lot of Taylor's from Tattooed Teacher Plans, and then I follow a lot of people on Instagram. I'm trying to encourage Just Plan with Shan to do YouTube videos too, because I want to see her process in a YouTube video form. But if you have anybody else that you recommend, let me know down in the comments, because I'm excited to use my planner for that purpose. That was kind of an addition on this video on how I'm gonna use both products. But at the end of the day, I think they're both beautiful products. They're both great systems, and you can't go wrong with either one. Hopefully this helps you figure out which one works better for you to help you accomplish amazing things in 2021. If you have any other questions, please let me know down in the comments. I would be happy to answer them. If you liked this video, if it was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for watching. Happy planning, both. Well, what is that noise? I didn't need to rhyme, but it did. Reflection section. Scale on 1 to 10, a grade on 1 to, we're gonna run out of time.